Good day everyone. Now we are discussing about biomolecules. So what is biomolecules? Biomolecules is a new molecules that are produced by a living organism including large macromolecules such as proteins, polysaccharides, lipids, and nucleic acids. Four major types of biomolecules: carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. But now we are focusing on proteins. Here's a fact that will boggle your mind. There is a retinal protein named after the character name Pikachu. It is called pikachurin. In fact, proteins are known to have unique names. Proteins are complex biomolecules that are made up of smaller units known as amino acids. Let us learn about them in detail. Due to different arrangement of amino acids, the structure of proteins divides into four types: the primary, secondary, tertiary, quaternary. So now let us know about the primary structure. It is the covalent linkages of the proteins. The secondary structure. It is the linear peptide chains fold either into the alpha helical structure or coiled or a beta-plated structures or sheets which contain hydrogen bond. The tertiary structure. It is the arrangement and interconnection of proteins into specific loops and bends forms tertiary structures. These structures contain hydrogen, ionic, and disulfide bonds. The quaternary structure. This structure is proteins containing more than one peptide chain. Proteins are made up of smaller units known as amino acids, and the bond linking them is known as a peptide band. This band is formed when the carboxyl group COOH of one amino acid bonds with the amino acid group NH2 of another amino acid, releasing a molecule of water H2O. A peptide may be dipeptide, tripeptide, and polypeptide. Classification of proteins is done on the basis of the following: of shape, constitution, and nature of molecules. The basis of shape: fibrous protein or scleroprotein and globular proteins. Fibrous proteins are scleroproteins. You can find these proteins in animals and are insoluble in water. Fibrous proteins are resistant to proteolytic enzymes and are coiled and exist in thread-like structures to form fibers. Example: collagen, actin, and mucin, keratin in hair, claws, feathers, and etc. Globular proteins. These proteins, unlike fibrous proteins, are soluble in water. They are made up of polypeptides that are coiled about themselves to form oval or spherical molecules. Example: albumin, insulin, and hormones like oxytocin or etc. The basis of constitutions: simple proteins, conjugated proteins, and derived proteins. So now let us know about simple proteins. These proteins are made up of amino acids only. Example: albumins, globulins, prolamins, and etc. Conjugated proteins. These are complex proteins that are combined with the characteristic of non-amino acid substance called as a prosthetic group. These are the following types of conjugated proteins: nucleoproteins, combination of protein and nucleic acid; macroproteins, combination of proteins and carbohydrates; glycoproteins, combination of proteins and carbohydrates; chromoproteins, combination of proteins and colored pigments; lipoproteins, combination of proteins and lipids; metalloproteins, combination of proteins and metal ions; phosphoroprotein, combination of proteins and a phosphate group. Derived proteins. Proteins are hydrolyzed by acids, alkalis, or enzymes. The derivations products obtained from them are called derived proteins. The basis nature of molecules: acidic proteins and basic proteins. So now let's discuss about acidic proteins. They exist as anion and contain acidic amino acids. Examples: blood groups. So now let's move to basic proteins. Basic proteins, they exist as cations and are rich in basic amino acids. Example: lysine, arginine, and etc. Functions of proteins: structural function, protective, hormonal regulation, and enzymes. So now let's move on structural functions. Proteins are called as the building blocks of the body. They are as an essential component of various structures in the cell and tissues. We can also find these proteins in the outer membrane of the cells in the human body. We can also find structural proteins in hair, skin, and muscles. Proteins often called act to strengthen these structures. Proteins working together can allow movement within the body, such as contraction of muscles and the movement of food through the digestive system, and etc. They are needed for the growth, development, healing, and the repair of tissues. Second type of function: protective. Proteins are the main constituent of antibodies that are protect our body against antigens and pathogens, thus preventing infections. The third type of function is hormonal regulation. Hormones are majorly composed of proteins. Hormones play a vital role in regulating muscle mass, sex hormones, and growth and development. So now let's move on to the last type of functions: enzymes. Proteins are called as biological buffers because they, as enzymes, regulate many different biochemical reactions that are occurring in the body. So now, since we've done discussing about proteins and its structures, classifications, and functions, I have a question for you to answer. So here's the question. Peptide bond formed between two amino acids through A. Addition of water, B. Loss of water, D. Decarboxylation, D. Deamination. If your answer is letter B, the loss of water, you are correct, because the formation of a peptide bond is a dehydration reaction where a molecule of water is released.